guys. This is Miss Pascal here. I know you can't see my face, but I am right above the screen and I am going to be teaching you guys a new concept today. We're going to be learning about elapsed time. So this past week and the week before, you guys were learning all about how to tell time to the nearest minute. So this week we're starting something new and we're going to be learning how to tell time in between two different times. So for example, if I started class at 2 o'clock or I guess more realistically, if I started class at 8:40 and math lasted an hour, what time did math class end? So the correct time would be 9:40. So I'm going to be showing you guys a strategy today that's called mountains, hills, and rocks to figure out the elapsed time of a problem. So there are three symbols that we're going to be using to help us figure out elapsed time. The first one is a mountain, and a mountain always represents 1 hour. There is a hill, and a hill can either represent 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 30 minutes. And the last one is a rock. A rock always represents 1 minute. So when you're working with elapsed time problems, you are always going to have three things that you need to figure out, and you will be given two of them. So the three things that you need to figure out is the start time, the end time, and the elapsed time. So you will always be given two of those. So for example, you might be given the start and the end time and asked to find the elapsed time. You might be given the start time and the elapsed time and asked to find the end time. Other times you might be given the end time and the elapsed time and you have to work backwards to find the start time. So I know that all of that is a lot of information, so I'm going to be teaching you guys next the three types of questions that you'll see this week. So here's our first problem. It says, Matt played the piano from 2:15 to 3:21. How long did he play? So what they give you in this problem, I've marked them in green and red. So our green is going to be our start time, and I actually already put it on our number line down here. Our red time that I put in a red rectangle is our ending time. So I put it at the end of our number line. So I want you to ask yourself, what are we missing from this problem? Hopefully you said the elapsed time. So in this problem, we were given the start time and the end time, and we need to figure out how much time has passed. So we're going to be using the mountains, hills, and rocks to figure out that problem. So I'm going to grab a marker. Right now, I just want you guys watching. You don't need to do it along with me. So I'm going to start at 2:15, and I need to ask myself, would it make sense to draw a mountain, a hill, or a rock next? So if I know from 2:15 to 3:21, I wonder how much time would pass if I drew a mountain. So if I drew a mountain here from 2:15, and I added 1 hour, what time would that get me to? Hopefully you're thinking 3:15. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna draw one mountain, and underneath the number line, I'm gonna write the time that it is now. So if 1 hour has passed, that means it is now 3:15. But I'm not to my end time yet, so I need to keep drawing mountains, hills, or rocks till I get to 3:21. So if I added another hour here, I would get to 4:15, which is past my end time. So I know I can't draw a mountain. Next, I could draw a hill. So I could draw a hill of 5 minutes, of 10 minutes, or of 30 minutes. Since I know 3:15 is pretty close to 3:21, I'm going to start with a small hill. So I'm going to draw one hill, And I'm going to label this one 5 minutes. So if I added 5 minutes to 3:15, I would get 3:20. Now, you guys know, and I bet you're thinking, well, Miss Pascal, 3:20 is really close to 3:21. That's only 1 minute away. So I hope that you're thinking, I need to draw one more symbol, and that is a rock. So this one's going to be really little, and I'm going to draw 1 minute, because that will get us to our ending time. So I've so far drawn one mountain that's an hour, one hill that's 5 minutes, and one rock that's 1 minute. But I haven't figured out the answer to the problem yet. The question says, how long did he play? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take what I've drawn so far and I'm going to add them up to find the elapsed time. So I'm going to add my 1 hour plus 5 minutes, that's an hour and 5 minutes, plus 1 more minute. So my elapsed time is 1 hour and 6 minutes. So this is my answer. All right, I'm going to show you a new type of problem that doesn't give you the start and the end time. Here's problem number 2. Saveda put a cake in the oven at 12:03. The box said to bake for 1 hour and 13 minutes. What time should she take the cake out? So this problem gives you two things, and I've marked them in green and blue. Our green box says 12:03. That's the time that she put the cake in. So we know that's the start time. We also know the elapsed time, that the cake needs to bake for 1 hour and 13 minutes. So that's going to be the time that passes on the number line. What are we missing in this problem? Hopefully you said the ending time. We need to figure out what time she should take the cake out of the oven. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my marker and I'm going to start at the start time. And I'm going to use mountain, hills, and rocks to figure out what time it will be after 1 hour and 13 minutes. So I'm going to start with the big number first. So 1 hour has passed. So I'm going to draw a mountain for 1 hour. And I'm going to write on the mountain 1 hour. And I'm going to ask myself, what is 1 hour past 12:03? And hopefully you're thinking 1:03. But I'm not done yet because the cake is cooking for 1 hour and 13 minutes. So what do you think I should draw next? Hopefully you said a hill. So I'm going to draw a hill of 10 minutes. Because if I am trying to make an elapsed time of 13 minutes, the next number that I would draw is a hill for 10. So far the cake has been baking for 1 hour and 10 minutes. So how much time is left? 3 minutes. So I'm going to draw 3 rocks. 1, 2, 3. Each of those is 1 minute. So far, I have the start time, I have my elapsed time, and what I'm missing is my end time. So, one thing I forgot to do, which you guys need to do as well, is to write the times underneath the mountain, hills, and rocks. So I did it for my hour. So if after 1 hour, it's 1:03, and 10 minutes later, what time would that be? You're probably thinking 1:13. Then I'm going to add my 3 minutes. So 1:13, 1:14, 1:15, 1:16. So your end time that she should take the cake out is 1:16. All right, I'm going to show you our last type of question. So I'm going to read this one out to you. It says, Nathan's baseball game ended at 8:42. If the game lasted 2 hours and 21 minutes, what time did the game start? So I want you to think to yourself, what two things does it give you? And what are you trying to figure out? So I hope that you said, it gives us the end time because the baseball game ended at 8:42, and it gave me the elapsed time. So I need to figure out in this problem the start time. So whenever we're trying to figure out the start time, we're going to work backwards. We're going to start at 8:42 and go back 2 hours and 21 minutes to figure out what time the game starts. So I'm going to start on this side of the number line for this problem since we're trying to figure out the start time. So I'm going to move backwards and I'm going to start with my big numbers first. So 2 hours. I know that a mountain represents an hour. So if I was going back 2 hours, I'm going to draw one mountain and then another mountain. And I'm going to write the time in each of those. I'm also going to write the time underneath. So from 8:42, if I'm going back an hour, what time would that give me? You're right, 7:42. Now if I go back another hour, what time would that give me? Good, 6:42. So I've gone back 2 hours so far, but I still need to go back 21 minutes. So remember, our hills can either be 5, 10, or 30. If I went back 30, that would be going back too far. So I'm going to go back 2 hills of 10. So I'm going to draw one hill, and I'm going to write 10 minutes. Now 10 minutes before 6:42 is going to be 6:32. And now I'm going to go back 10 more minutes. 10 minutes before 6:32 is going to be 6:22. So far I've gone back 2 hours and 20 minutes. So the last thing I need to do is to go back 1 minute. If I go back 1 minute before 6:22, my start time would be 6:21. So you guys are going to be encountering some problems this week where you're going to be given 2 of those pieces of information, and you're going to need to figure out which one is missing. So like this problem, we had to figure out the start time and we worked backwards. In this problem, we were given the start time and the elapsed time, but we had to figure out the end time. And in this problem, this is the most common problem. We were given the start time and the end time, and we had to figure out the elapsed time. So when you're working this week on these problems, on every problem, I want you to draw a number line and use these mountain, hills, and rocks to help you figure out the answer. So when I'm looking over your work on Seesaw, I'm going to be checking to see that you have the mountain, hills, and rocks strategy this week. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Seesaw or Blooms, and I'll be happy to help you. I'm also adding an anchor chart to our lesson plans this week if you need help with this strategy as well. But it was great teaching you guys today, and I hope our lessons this week go well on Elapsed Time. I'll talk with you guys soon.